Sometimes you might find that somebody has said something, it agitated you, but where is that agitation really coming from?
Yes.
So just trying to identify where that agitation is coming from, especially for us who are in this personal development journey. You might find that you have worked, let's say, on being patient with yourself, being patient with people, and then somebody says something and you realize, that really didn't sit well with me. Or it's something so small, but on that day, when they say it a certain way, it just comes out super off for you. So I came to understand that it is important to trying to identify those specific areas and come to analyze them, because once you get to analyze them, you find that, okay, I was working on trying to be patient with people. I was working on trying to be patient with myself, but on this specific area, when maybe get to talk to me this way, I didn't like it. So what is that specific area that I have not touched on that I need to work on?
Wow.
Welcome back to the Balance It podcast. Balance It is a platform that empowers young men and women to live a purposeful life.
We delve into conversations relating to purpose-driven living, wellness, fitness, and lifestyle in general. I'm Gertrude Nasike.
And I am Eda Onyoni.
And in the same spirit of gratitude, today our shout out goes to Okay, our shout out goes to Florence Oduor. You commented on one of our episodes and you were saying it's episode 25 already. You love the consistency that we are having. I love how you have unpacked the HR issue. Telling someone your services are no longer needed is quite demotivating. It makes me feel and see how important communication skills are in all facets of our careers and how it affects other people. Thank you so much. And this was our episode on communication. Yes.
Wow. And just speaking of which, we are actually almost at episode 50 now.
Yes.
Almost there.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you so much, Florence.
Yeah, it's Florence.
Thank you so much, Florence. We really appreciate. And guys, continue doing the same. And we are glad that we are actually impacting lives and just unpacking things differently for you guys, and that you can actually see it. It's very motivating for us to see that our efforts are actually being appreciated.
Yes.
Yes, and in today's episode, we'll be talking about patience. We are doing life, so we need patience. Gertrude.
And I just wanted to say it's because also there's so much rapid change right now. Like things are moving. Everyone calls it adulting, but I just feel like things are moving very fast in different aspects of life. There are so many social changes, things that we need to keep up with. And so it's very important to really cultivate the essence of patience in different spheres of our lives, so as to really still remain sane, I would say. Yes.
It's sometimes not for the other person. Sometimes it's for us.
It's actually for you, first of all. It's actually for you, yes.
Yeah. So in that same spirit, why do you need we need patience with people?
I would say, first of all, patience with people allow us to be peaceful with ourselves, because patience itself is a virtue, and it can be attached to kindness, it can be related or attached to positive vibes or positive energy. So I would say it allows us to be at peace with ourselves, first of all. Another reason is being patient with people is very important, because you find we are from different backgrounds. I keep preaching this every single time. I know for a long time I've been like, sometimes before I used to be a bit impatient because I never used to understand why is this person doing this instead of this way. But with time and with growth and change of mindset, I noticed that people are from different backgrounds, and extending grace to each and every other person is very essential, because you wouldn't expect someone to behave the same way as you and your siblings behaved because you were in the same household or because you were brought up in the same country. People have been brought up with different situations, and there's some who also have very deep traumas, So it's never just the iceberg on the surface, but there's some deeper underlying issues that if we are not patient with people, you might end up really breaking them to a point that they might not come back from it. And it's just because you never knew there's something more to it than just what you're seeing on their surface. So I think that's a reason as to why we need to really be patient with people. People are facing a lot of things and people are going through so much, and just the fact that it's good to embrace diversity.
I totally agree. And also, I like the fact that you brought up the aspect of the diversity, especially. You can find that in Kenya there are some common things that we know we can be able to tolerate, but now when you either travel and then you meet different people from totally different ethnic backgrounds, it becomes totally different, and it's like you just have to cultivate it. The experiences just force you to cultivate it, because otherwise you're the one who is going to be on the pain every time.
True.
Because of how other people just live their life, and that is just their normal life. It's not a different life.
Exactly.
The diversity one is like it's something that you just have to embrace and just be patient with people.
Or else it's gonna bring so much frustration. And then I noticed that we normally say to really have your inner joy or peace, just work on things that you can actually change or you're in control of. But someone's way of living or how someone was brought up, that's something that is not within your control. So if you're really trying to control a situation or control a person, then it means that you're the one ending up being frustrated. And I keep telling some of my friends, like, you just, if someone is not getting what you're saying the way you're saying it, just let them be, because you're the one who's going to end up being frustrated, trying to put your idea on someone or trying to see them see light in the way that you see. And for them, maybe that's darkness to them and they have a different way of seeing light. So allowing that, understanding that everyone is different and every opinion is right is really a great way. And just before we continue, I remember there's a time I think we were in a workshop and there's a lady gave a comment. She was one of the speakers, and then someone that was seated to me asked me, so does it mean that those of us doing this differently, it's bad? And I told him, no, it's not bad. It's actually right. But now, does it mean she's on the wrong? And then I told her, no, she's actually right. It's just that you guys have different opinions based on how both of you are wired, that you approach this situation, but both of you are actually right. And which is a good thing. Understanding that we are different and there are different right methods is a plus. It would save you a lot of frustration.
I totally agree with that. And definitely, as we are talking about patience, we need to talk about different ways that we can cultivate patience. Because despite coming up from different backgrounds, we need to find a middle ground on how to live as individuals, as sisters, as brothers. We need to find a middle ground. Otherwise, there now could be a bit of compromising more than now patience. And now a lot of compromising is also not good.
It's not good.
And we cannot leave this area as a gray area. So we need to have like something sort of a middle ground, so that we can be able to coexist in the same space, despite our differences in terms of our backgrounds and everything. Do you have a specific way that you have tried
For me, I think I would say there are different ways that I try to cultivate this patience. First of all, it's through a change of mindset. Initially, I wasn't so patient with people. Like, I would literally dismiss if I don't see us getting to any middle ground. I won't compromise, and I would just dismiss. And just like, then this shouldn't happen in the first place. Do you understand? Because I also don't want frustrations. Sometimes it's also a technique, but sometimes you realize that you end up really dismissing situations that if you guys would compromise or get to a middle ground, it would be better for both of you than you just dismissing and going with nothing.
Yeah.
So nowadays, I think it's just really changing my mindset, and I'm very aware or conscious of the fact that probably this person is coming from a point of, I don't know, maybe they're facing something at that point, and that's why maybe they're not seeing this thing in this way, but not from a point of I'm whole as a person and you just need to see this. So that's why, as much as I might try to really push and see whether this really makes sense, but I would also not push too much to allow the other person to really bring up their opinion, and just at the end of the day see what really makes logical sense at that point, and maybe adopt it. Another way I really try to cultivate my patience is trying to understand that timings are different, and also seasons, because you realize when it comes to situations maybe like looking for jobs, or trying to do something, or you've been waiting on something for so long, there's a possibility of us really trying to go out of our way to do something different. Like we just keep pushing and pushing to no end, or we really don't have a direction. But now when I came to understand these time and seasons, and you just do the activities, you just do the work and leave the rest to God, it really works. Now that gives me peace and allows me to really try and be patient with situations, even though sometimes it's really hard to really stay patient, especially when you find time is of essence, time is moving and things are not changing. But understanding that things are different and you're actually where you're supposed to be at that point is consolation enough, and has really helped me build the patience. But when it comes to, sometimes we meet difficult people, for me, I don't engage. If I just find you're a conflict seeker or you're a difficult person, there are people you can have patience with, but there are people you just have to literally stay away from. Yeah. So if I find you're actually just a conflict seeker, I won't give you the time of day. I would not engage you. Yes.
Yeah.
Or if you keep crossing my path, I would just ignore you, which really also helps, because sometimes you find people just bring their own insecurity and frustrations to you, and then you end up being two people with the same bad energy, and that makes them feel happy, but now it won't make me feel happy, and that's also what I'm trying to avoid. Yes.
Yeah, wow, I really love everything that you've talked about. And there is this thing that I learned the other day. It's called green practice, whereby you have, if you're not somebody who has patience, it's something maybe you can also try and just let us know if it actually works for you guys. Having a plant, like being a plant mom.
I've seen that with a number of people. Like, you see someone on social media, oh, I'm a plant mom, I'm now a plant mom of 2, and literally.
So does it mean that people have different reasons for having plants, but it has been confirmed that having plants actually helps you to nurture your patience. Because actually thinking about it in a logical way, by the time you have to water that plant on every single day, especially for plants that cannot survive without being watered, that alone is patience. And just growing it, seeing it from a seedling stage to now being a proper plant that can actually give you fruits, that requires patience. And I think then it really makes sense just thinking about it from that perspective. So maybe that is something that you guys can also try and just let us know how it goes. And also for you plant moms, because I'm not a plant
maybe
mom.
it's a plant mom and also plant dad. It's not only ladies who do that.
True. So plant people or people who like plants,
growing plants. I think for me, I would try. I even already have a vase. I've been meaning to buy some plants for the past 2 months, but I've not. But I think I will try and nurture it and see how it goes.
Please let us know.
I will. And I just remember there is also this technique that I realized or I learned about a month or 2 ago. It was in a meditation workshop or practice, and this instructor was saying sometimes, like when you're feeling frustrated or you don't have the clarity, it's very good to try and bring yourself back to the present or try and become mindful. But it's very hard to become mindful in the midst of all these busy schedules, a number of things just moving around our heads, right? But now he was saying in such situations, you can use some breathing exercise that would really help you to maintain your calm and just be mindful and present, and also to ensure that you are cultivating that patience. And he would say that there are a number of breathing techniques, but he had highlighted 2 of them. One, when you breathe in through your nose and then you release the air through your mouth, it means that you're really escaping from that situation, which should not be the case, because if you're escaping from the situation, it means that you've actually not solved the problem. So you're just escaping from the situation that is making you being impatient, but it's actually gonna crop up later on to make you still impatient or make you feel frustrated and not be in the present moment. And so he was suggesting a situation or a technique whereby you inhale through the nose and exhale through the nose still. And he was saying this is going to really help your mind to calm down and allow you to think now clearly, because you're not escaping from a situation. You're like, okay, this is the point that I'm in. I'm frustrated. But when you're taking those deep breaths and exhaling at the same time, using your nose for both of them, it allows you to now calm down and stay patient with whichever situation. So if you are here, you just get back to a situation where you guys maybe can have a normal conversation. And it's something that I've actually tried and I've been practicing so much ever since. And I found out that it really works. It really works a lot. When I feel at a point that I'm really stressed or I'm being impatient and I feel like I'm being agitated by a situation or by someone's comment or response, I just take those deep breaths through the nose and exhale it. And after maybe like 3 to 5 breaths, I feel like I'm calm enough to really think clearly, which is a very good way of cultivating your patience as well.
Yeah, so true. And I totally agree with that, because what I used to know before that specific situation that you have given us, I just knew that breathing in and breathing out was important for our mental health and even just for our mental health, basically, and even to calming the nerves down. And now I used to do morning meditations. And you would find that during the day when I'm agitated or something, I would also do like just 3 or 4 or 5 breath-ins and breath-outs without using a situation, but it actually worked. So I think it's something that is actually working.
Yeah.
And also something else that I can add on is just trying to understand, especially in those situations that you are not patient with people, just trying to understand, why am I not patient with myself or even with people? Because once you understand that, you can now be able to maneuver through on how to, because sometimes you might find that you are somebody has said something, it agitated you, but where is that agitation really coming from?
Yes.
So just trying to identify where that agitation is coming from, especially for us who are in this personal development journey. You might find that you have worked, let's say, on being patient with yourself, being patient with people, and then somebody says something and you realize, that really didn't sit well with me. Or it's something so small, but on that day, when they say it a certain way, it just comes out super off for you. So I came to understand that it is important to trying to identify those specific areas and come to analyze them, because once you get to analyze them, you find that, okay, I was working on trying to be patient with people. I was working on trying to be patient with myself, but on this specific area, when maybe get to talk to me this way, I didn't like it. So what is that specific area that I have not touched on that I need to work on?
Wow.
So once you understand that, you get that this healing journey is a continuous process, and it just makes you be more patient and more kind with yourself. Because if you are in that self-healing journey and just the personal development journey, you will be open to get the criticism from yourself, from even other people, that it will actually even help you grow in your personal development journey.
I really loved how you've brought out that it's like it's forcing you to see areas that you need to prune and just or water,
Yes.
which is a very powerful thing about patience. But now I'm thinking, okay, there's so many times that we really face uncertainties. I've talked about the aspect of seasons and time. How do you handle these situations? We've said that yes, cultivating patience, you can understand that seasons and times are different, but how do you handle this waiting season? Because I know there's a lot of frustration and the need or the push to really try and be impatient. How do we handle it?
The breathing in works so much. The breathing in works so much. And especially if you are somebody who is trying to cultivate the self-awareness, trying to cultivate this journey of personal development, you are open to, at the moment, it might be really hard to even control yourself as an individual. And sometimes me, what I do, I just leave the situation. It's better to just leave it hanging, even for a day, and come back to it later on when my mindset is clear. Because you find that you, especially on those times that you are agitated with maybe somebody, you will speak a lot of words, and words can never be returned back to you. And those words can be super hurtful to somebody else, that you were just speaking out of emotions, and that was not just you, it was your hormones speaking, or your thoughts speaking, but it was not really you. And I always say that we are not our thoughts, because ourselves and our thoughts are totally different people. So if you are just speaking from your emotions or your thoughts, sometimes it might be super hard to even detach yourself, especially on those super hard times. And what I just normally do is just detaching myself from that situation for a moment. It's not easy, I can say for sure. It's not easy, especially if you are beginning that journey. It's not easy, but with time you get to understand that, okay, even if it is not good for me, let me try to even do it for the other person, out of courtesy, out of respect for the other person, and just try to be patient and kind with my words and even how I treat them. So just putting that into consideration over time has now helped me change the narrative. Now it's not just for the other person.
Okay.
It started with, because now it was hard for me to be kind to myself because of either maybe traumas or anything. But now with time, once you understand that, okay, I can be kind to this person, then I can also be kind to myself.
Yourself.
And then now the narrative changes, and now you start building that patience, even when you're super agitated, and you try to just calm yourself down, and also just communicating with people around you.
I love the way you've brought out even the aspect of communication, because at the end of it all, if we do not communicate well, then it's going to bring so much uncertainties and more impatience. You
Yeah,
understand?
yeah.
Because now you'd find these specific gaps in the conversation that maybe we were having, and now just being filled up by speculations. And most of the time these speculations are not even true. They are very far from true. It's just your
Yeah.
mind thinking, ah, or Eda means this, or she's coming
Yeah.
from this point, or this is what she wants. But at the end of it all, it's not even maybe close to what she's even thinking, you know. So you end up filling up so many things with speculations, and then it ends up even maybe breaking a connection or something like that, which is not a good essence. But I love the way that you brought the aspect of communication. And
Yeah.
just as you were saying, it's very important, just as you've said, to really be patient with ourselves, because they normally say you cannot give what you don't have. You know,
True.
you literally cannot. If it's love, if it's patience, if it's grace, if it's um like whatever you are giving, you must have it first of all, because how would you even know how to give it to whoever you're giving to, the community that you want to serve, you know? Yeah, so I'm also a big believer in that.
Yeah, and also walking the talk, because we can't be preaching patience, 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 and you are actually not practicing patience.
True.
Sometimes also just speaking without you knowing exactly what it is you're speaking also rewires your mind to think, okay, if I can talk about this, like there is a day I was talking to my people on my platform, and I was talking about something, and it's something that I was really struggling with, because sometimes that is how I try to
Yeah.
handle ways on how to just change my mentality.
Mhm.
So the moment I spoke about it, it's like I gave it power. And then now after that, you find that it had already marinated itself in my mind. It was just coming out, and now me starting to do the action. So just speaking about it gives it power, but also knowing when to speak about it. That is also very important.
And who to speak
who to
about
speak.
it to, because yeah, that is very important. And I really love how we've really put this, and it's a good way to end the show.
Yeah.
Yes, and maybe one word for our audience.
Be kind to people.
Yes, you never know what people are struggling with. Sometimes you might feel like this is the smallest thing. Like for me, really try so hard nowadays not to make whatever someone is facing feel small. It might be even the smallest thing, but you never know how deep it triggers them, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just understanding that people are facing a lot of things, and you just cannot say that you know everything about this person and you have a better understanding on how to do it. Just, I know it was supposed to be a last one, but now a thought came to my mind. Today, in church, they were preaching about not being judgmental to people, because for us, we are just seeing what's on the surface, but you are not maybe God, or you are not in a position to know every other aspect of this person before you make a judgment, consider relating to whatever they're doing or however they're presenting themselves. And this is a very important thing, because most of the time people are just unkind, just because they think for them they are whole as a person. They assume the other party is also at that point, but it's never the case.
Never the case.
Yeah, so it's good to be very patient and give grace to people.
Yeah, for sure. And patience is a virtue, and it has to be nurtured honestly. at some point we have found ourselves not being patient,
Yes.
either with ourselves,
Mhm.
especially with ourselves.
Exactly.
We can give out patience to other people because that is what we think they need, but
Mhm.
or that is the reputation that you want them to have about you.
Exactly.
But are you really being kind to yourself? So
True.
yeah, patience is a virtue. For me, that is something that I'm really, really practicing right
Mhm.
now.
Mhm.
It's something that I'm really, really working on. So I hope you
Mhm.
join me on the challenge.
And until next time.
Bye bye.